Hey everybody, and welcome to the Short Film Ideas channel. This is Chike Kamara, and today is day 10 of the 10-day Short Film Idea Challenge, and it's been fun. But we're at day 10 now, and I'm ready to give it to you. Every day for 10 days, I come up with a short film idea. I give you my source, my thoughts on the idea, and then I give you the actual idea. And I do this to show you that. To show you my process for coming up with the short film ideas regularly and simply. And it's my hope that you can use this process to come up with short film ideas of your own. Okay, so it's day 10. Let's get into it. So today's source is a little similar in some ways as yesterday as far as the mechanism behind it. Whereas I see something or I hear something, and then that spins off into the actual idea, which may be only faintly related to the actual catalyst for me even coming up with the idea. If you recall yesterday, I told you that frequently I'll see an elderly couple walking around our neighborhood, especially on beautiful days. And that made me think of an old man in a garage creating artificial intelligence, or rather a rather human-like robot, and all that went with that. So today is similar in that way. Okay, so the source I came up with is I overheard my nephew say to my niece, what is the largest number you can think of? And I thought that was an interesting question, because I started to think about it myself, and then I couldn't immediately come up with an answer. Like a billion? So then I had a flash in my head. I had an image of a love story about a boy and a girl who live in the country, and the girl asks her boyfriend the same question. And I thought this could be a catalyst for their love story. And then I started thinking about how, I don't know, I still had sort of like mathematical equations, or the concept of mathematical equations in my head. So I started thinking, how can I use math in a simple and sensual way to sort of convey their love on another level as well? And so one thing led to another, and then I thought, well, what if one of them was a math genius, like a mathematical genius, a math whiz? And I was like, okay, that's interesting. Okay, so then I had an interesting idea, at least an interesting idea that's interesting to me. And again, that's important. It first has to be interesting to you. Then you can convey that interestingness to an audience. Then you have to ask yourself, okay, what can make it compelling? So I started thinking of ways to make it compelling, and by giving it some sort of tension or problem to solve, or like a bit of a tug of war. And then I was like, okay, what if she's a mathematical genius, and what if he's learning disabled in some way? I mean, he could be a brilliant artist. I mean, he doesn't have to be, you can have a learning disability and be very, very intelligent in other ways, in artistic ways. So I said, okay, that might work, because that's a good dichotomy there, and it can be a good cause for a problem or an issue or some sort of tension there. And if you can create a problem around that you can solve, then you can certainly make that a compelling story for the audience. So I decided to go with that. And so then I thought about endings. I came up with a few endings, and they were sort of centered around a few concepts. One was I was thinking maybe he could die, maybe she could die, or almost die, and or maybe they could break up, or maybe they could stay together. So those are all valid sort of things that you can use to end such a film. And so the ending I ended up going with after, writing down a few is the boyfriend gives the girlfriend an engagement ring and she accepts. They stay together until her death. So I included both her dying and them staying together. So you got some options there. And then I came up with a few beginnings, and I finally settled on a girl and a boy share their first kiss on a bridge overlooking a creek in the country. So that's the beginning. And basically the beginning is a fairly normal not girl meets boy, but girlfriend boyfriend moment. Beginning of a love story. Now everything's good. And then the middle I decided on was the girl is diagnosed with cancer and she loses her faith in family, love, and numbers. And that's the middle I came up with. And I probably could add something more to the middle, such as the boyfriend helps to restore her faith in those things. And then he gives her an engagement ring, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so I could definitely tweak the middle somewhat. But remember, these are rough beginning, middle, and ends. And then I take these elements and then I sort of write out a sort of a story idea in a few sentences to sort of color it out a little bit. And so the idea I came up with is How Much I Love You. Starts off with a beautiful math genius, Jesse, asking comic book artist Jake a question. What's the largest number you can think of? On a bridge overlooking a creek, they share their first kiss, and the resistance they will soon face from opposing fathers who happen to be university presidents in the same town will pale in comparison to the impending tragedy that awaits them. Diagnosed with a rare illness, Jessie loses her faith in numbers, family, and love. But Jake calls upon all of these to save them both. And before embracing at the end on that same old bridge, he reminds her of her question. And he reminds her of her question. And she says, I don't know, infinity times a trillion. To which he responds, that's how much I love you. And then he gives her the engagement ring. And then we know, we sort of infer at the end that she passes away somewhere down the line. Okay, so that's the idea I came up with. And you notice how I took the sort of rudimentary beginning, middle, and end, colored it out a little bit, still kept it into like a couple sentence form, but you can understand fully just by me giving you this idea what the story is about, and that's the goal. And that gives you sort of a fleshed out story that you can sort of act on, where you can kind of easily fill in some of the blanks if you want, but you have a beginning, middle, and end. Okay, so this has been day 10. It's been fun. I hope you've learned a lot. We'll get into some other stuff later. Maybe I'll walk through in detail the process, but you have to let me know in the comments. You also have to subscribe so you can know when I post a response. But that's it for today. So enjoy. Talk to you soon.